Hello, my name is Nicolas Cortes, and I am going to present you some topics studied on the third term in biology class, also with examples. So let's start. Or phenotypes of a particular gene or organism and its ancestors from one generation to the next. Most commonly humans, show dogs, and race horses. To study inheritance of genes in humans. Pedigree analysis is also useful when studying any population when progeny data from several generations is limited. Pedigree analysis is also useful when studying species with a long generation time. A series of symbols are used to represent different aspects of a pedigree. Below are the principal symbols used when drawing a pedigree. One phenotypic data is called from several generations and the pedigree is drawn. Careful analysis will allow you to determine whether the trait is dominant or recessive. Here are some rules to follow for those traits exhibiting dominant gene action. 1. Affected individuals have at least one affected parent. 2. The phenotype generally appears every generation. And 3. Two unaffected parents only have unaffected offspring. The following is the pedigree of a trait controlled by dominant gene action. What are the properties for a pedigree chart? A pedigree results in the presentation of a family information in the form of an easily readable chart. Pedigrees use a standardized set of symbols. Squares represent males and circles represent females. It should be noted that pedigree construction is a family history, and as such details about an early generation may be uncertain as memories fade. If the sex of the person is unknown, a diamond is used. Someone with the phenotype in question is represented by a filled-in or darker symbol. Heterozygotes, when identifiable, are identified by a shade, not inside a symbol or a half-filled symbol. Now that we finished with pedigree charts, we are gonna talk about another topic of the third term in biology. Now we are gonna talk about genetic diseases or genetic disorders with examples. We are gonna explain now. A genetic disorder is a genetic problem caused by one or more abnormalities in the genome, especially a condition that is present from birth congenital. Most genetic disorders are quite rare and affect one person in every several thousands or millions. Genetic disorders may or may not be heritable, passed down from the parent genes. In non-heritable genetic disorders, defects may be caused by new mutations or changes to the DNA. In such cases, the defect will only be heritable if it occurs in the germ line. The same disease, such as some forms of cancer, may be caused by an inherited genetic condition in some people, by new mutations in other people, and mainly by environmental causes in still other people. One example of genetic disorder or genetic problem is the Down syndrome. What is a Down syndrome? Down syndrome is a chromosomal condition related to chromosome 21. It affects 1 in 800 to 1 in 1000 live-born infants. What are the symptoms of Down syndrome? People who have Down syndrome have learning difficulties, mental retardation, a characteristic facial appearance, and poor muscle tone, hypotonia, in infancy. Individuals with Down syndrome also have an increased risk for having heart defects, digestive problems such as gastroesophageal reflux or celiac disease, and hearing loss. Some people who have Down syndrome have low activity of the thyroid gland, an organ in the lower neck that produces hormones. Down syndrome can be diagnosed in infancy based on the characteristic clinical findings. When Down syndrome is suspected in a person, a genetic test called a chromosome analysis is performed on a blood or skin sample to look for an extra chromosome 21, trisomy 21. Trisomy 21 means that each cell in the body has 3 copies of chromosomes 21 instead of the usual 2 copies. Having an extra number of 21 chromosomes interrupts the normal course of development, causing the characteristic clinical features of Down syndrome. Some people who have Down syndrome have an extra number 21 chromosome in some of their body cells. This type of Down syndrome is called mosaic Down syndrome. A small number of individuals have Down syndrome because part of the chromosome 21 becomes attached to another chromosome before or at the time of conception. These individuals have 2 copies of chromosome 21, an additional material from chromosome 21 that is attached to another chromosome. The chromosomes of parents of a child with Down syndrome caused by a translocation are studied to see whether the translocation was inherited.